Hi there, welcome to the latest episode of my 10-minute moan. And the topic of this 10-minute moan is a story that thousands of sex offenders have been taken off the sex offenders list early. Now this story is about, it came out yesterday, maybe the day before, and lots of people have been talking about it. So I thought I would have a wee sort of dive into it. What happens currently, or what happened, previously, if you were found guilty in a court of any sexual laws, whether it was adults, against children, whatever it was, you were automatically put on the sex offenders list. Now, if you were convicted to a custodial sentence of less than 30 months, then you would have a time for the amount of time you would spend on the sex offenders list. You could maybe get an 18 months sentence and 5 years on the sex offenders list. That was the type of sentencing we seen. However, if you were sentenced to more than 30 months, then you were put on the sex offenders list indefinitely. Now, what that meant was you had to notify the police where you were living, your name, your date of birth, and you had to go to the police station at least once a year to confirm that your details were correct, so that the police and other agencies would know where anybody on the sex offenders list was at any given time. Then in 2011, two men who were on the sex offenders list complained that being on it indefinitely was against their human rights. So what that meant was these guys had been convicted for at least 30 months and felt it was unfair that they should be on the sex offenders list indefinitely. So they made a complaint, went to court, and guess what? The old human rights. It was against their human rights to be on a sex offenders list, regardless of the victim's rights. They don't come into it. It's all about the offender. So we scrapped it. What would happen then was you could still be given it on indefinitely, and all these people were on indefinitely from time going past, but they were now able, after 15 years, to appeal it and come off the sex offenders list. So what happens was, obviously, people started asking to come off it, and it's came to light that 75% of those that apply to come off the list, come off the list. Now, I find that quite appalling, to be honest with you. I'm not suggesting, I'm sort of like, should you be on it indefinitely? Well, I think the test is, you've been convicted for over 30 months, so you must have done something bloody serious. When you actually see the amount of sexual offences, particularly child pornography, etc., where there is no custodial sentence at all. So you need to do something pretty bad to get more than a 2.5 year sentence. So having the ability to be on it indefinitely, I kind of think is a good idea, particularly for those that are the harshest offenders. But now that we're allowing people to appeal it to come back off that list, I'm not too comfortable with it. I can understand it. But what blows my mind is that only 1 out of 4 is told, no, you're bad. You're staying on the list. So, is it the process or is it the people? Because the process might be so black and white that whoever's looking at it and checking it has almost got a ready reckoner of, yep, they've got to be taken off it or they've got to stay on it. Which would mean it's the process that's the problem. However, if the process is more grey and it's down to the individual who's looking at the case to decide, then it could be a problem with the people. And I'm not sure right at this point which of those two is true, because I genuinely don't know enough about the process if you appeal being on this register. But I will be looking into it, and I would love anyone who's got more experience of it, who's watched the video, to enlighten me and help me. Because I just can't see a system where miraculously 3 out of 4 that apply to come off this sex offenders list after serving at least 30 months in jail or at least, sorry, I'll rephrase that, sentenced to 30 months in jail. They probably don't even serve that. If you've been sentenced to 30 months in jail in the UK right now for any sex offence, I would suggest it's pretty damn serious what you've done. Because some of the sentencing, to be perfectly frank with you, over the last few years has been atrociously weak and erred in favour of the offender. And you see numerous cases of victims not being happy with the sentences handed out, particularly with the amount now that are getting no custodial sentence. So it's just another bonkers situation we're in the United Kingdom, where human rights has trumped victims' rights. And that's the human rights of the perpetrators. And it's just another pointer that being part of the ECHR is probably not in the best interests of Britain anymore. Because now, most people talk about ECHR, that's the Commission for Human Rights. When we talk about immigration and people who are here illegally, and convince folk through using human rights law that they should not go back to their own country. And people are finding loopholes. And I think that's, without spending too much time on it, I think it's probably fair to say that that's what's happening here with the paedophiles and rapists. And that makes me feel sick at the bottom of my pit. Don't like it. Don't know how you feel about it, but I would imagine most level-minded United Kingdom citizens would probably feel the same as me. And it's just, we've just got to do it. Just we can. People say, we get no. You come out the ECHR, then nobody's got any human rights. Well, that's a lot of nonsense, right? Because we have got our own laws, and there's a lot of protection there, and there's nothing stopping us writing our own constitution, as it were, for human rights. It's not a problem. We're a big grown-up country. We could do that. We could probably do it very easy, and we can add to it. There might be instances where the ECHR is not as full as it should be. So there's instances where we could probably do better. And there's instances that would give us the benefit of taking out the legislation in the ECHR that is weak, to be perfectly honest with you, and have a more robust process for the United Kingdom, and eventually do the things that those that voted for Brexit were actually voting for. Because let me just tell you something. Brexit was failed, not because it's not what the public wanted, it's because those in charge with ensuring we came away from Brexit made a complete arse of it. The majority of the United Kingdom citizens voted to come out of the EU, but unfortunately we left it to a building of 650 people who by the majority wanted to remain in the UK, which was bonkers, and that's why it's a mess. Okay, so if you enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up. If you've not already done so, please hit the subscribe and the notification bell. Comments below, please, your opinions, and if anybody knows more about the actual process of getting yourself off and appealing to get yourself off the sex offenders list, please let me know. The most important of all, unless you're one of these paedophile, rapists or illegal immigrants that find loopholes and abuse the ECHR and put your human rights in front of mine as a UK citizen, a law-abiding UK citizen, not you, but
everyone else, have a great day. Cheerio, bye now.